Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodhanandan Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachari. Yamunatira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astottara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Astottara Sata Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dhama Ki. Mayapur Navadvip Dhama Ki. Ganga Mai Ki. Yamuna Mai Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, today we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 17, Verse 26. You able to find that? 4:17:26. But before we do that, we'd just like to read some passages glorifying and describing the very special occasion of Akshaya Tritiya, which is today. Akshaya Tritiya is a yearly observance, a very holy observance that happens annually on the third day of the waxing moon in the month of Vaishakha. And it's described that every moment of this very auspicious day is very powerful spiritually. Very often in those circles that are knowledgeable about the potency of this day, there's a lot of marriages that take place today, lots of businesses are opening today, lots of things are starting today. And why is that? It's because Akshaya means inexhaustible, and that whatever activity one undertakes or starts today or commits to today is bound to succeed, to be successful, especially the activities in devotional service, which automatically are in any case, guaranteed. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita assures this. Neha abhikramo nasho asti pratyavayana vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That whatever we do in devotional service, it always yields success. And that success can never ever be lost. Sometimes people in the material world, when they gain some success through whatever austerities they may perform, through hard work, study, endeavor, gain some money, some prosperity, some popularity, and so on, some strength, so on. But over time it dwindles, right? We find that. We find it dwindles. Even health. We do so much for good health, work so hard. I'm sure all of us here have that experience. We go on a diet, do some exercise, be regular. And then as age goes on, health goes away. So that's materially speaking. But in devotional life, whatever success one accrues, or advancement one accrues in devotional service, that is never ever lost. It may be covered from time to time due to our own offenses and mistakes in devotional service. Our past successes of bhakti may be covered, but they are never lost. They are never ever lost. In any case, Akshaya Tritiya is a wonderful day, comes with many blessings, and we can consider this day to be an opportunity to reset. I'm not sure if any of you had the issue with your phones or your computers or your smart watches. If something's stalling on the watch or your phone, and you call the company, or you call the technical support on the phone, and one of the first things they suggest is try to restart your computer. Try to restart the phone, switch it on and off, hold on for a few minutes, and then see. And it's described that a huge percentage of the times the problems are solved just by the restart. So sometimes we may need that in devotional life. We just need a restart, a recommit. And this is a wonderful day to consider doing that. My japa is not so great. Let me today restart my japa with a profound, renewed commitment to how I do japa. My worship of the deities, my reading of the books, whatever we do in devotional service, if we find there's a need to refresh, to sharpen, then today is a wonderful day to recommit to those practices. Anything, everything actually. So today, Akshaya Tritiya, we'll read a little bit about why this day is so special and how it came about that this day is also so invested and what other things happened on such a day. It is said that Akshaya Tritiya is the day when Treta Yuga began and the river Ganga descended to the earth. Also, the festival known as Chandan Yatra starts today. Of course, in the southern hemisphere, Chandan Yatra is not so much celebrated or observed on this day because it's not as hot as it is in India currently. Today, if you see the deities darshan in Vrindavan, covered, right, with Chandan, beautiful decorations, Mayapur, all over Vrindavan, you'll see. And it goes on for a few weeks. I think it's like 3 weeks or so. Yeah, 21 days. Every day they cover the deities to keep them cool. So that also starts on this day. In the Madhva Sampradaya, Akshaya Tritiya is celebrated as the day of the incarnation of Lord Vishnu as Parashuram. Isn't that amazing? So Parashuram, the Kshatriya, the Brahman incarnation of the Lord who descended to rid the world of so many generations of Kshatriyas, he appeared on this day. In the Sri Krishna Math monastery, a special festival takes place during which the Akshaya Patra, the marvelous pot gifted by the sun god to Draupadi, is worshipped. Draupadi was given this benediction that her pot would provide unlimited food at each meal until she herself ate from it. It appears that the pot came under the custody of Madhvacharya, and on Akshaya Tritiya it is worshipped and prasad is lavishly distributed throughout the day. So you'll know this story about the pot, this Akshaya Patra, this vessel. So when Draupadi and the Pandavas were exiled into the forest, and so many thousands of Brahmins and other sages were following them. They didn't want to leave them, especially because of the association of Yudhisthira Maharaj, who was known to be Dharmaraj himself. He was so expert at understanding the principles of religion that even the great sages were wanting to take his association. So many people were following them. But now they were without any wealth at all. How could they feed and take care of so many of these sages and people following them? So Draupadi was benedicted this pot by the sun god. And it's described, the benediction is that whatever she cooked in it, she could serve as many people unlimitedly in an inexhaustible way, as many people that came for prasad. Any amount, until she herself ate. After she ate, then the pot would stop giving prasadam. So this was her benediction. So every day for a long time she was able to feed thousands and thousands of people from one pot. And it's described that Duryodhana, playing mischief and trying to create some bad results for the Pandavas, he sort of encouraged Durvasa Muni to go and visit the Pandavas in exile one day. Durvasa Muni, we know he is an empowered incarnation of Lord Shiva as well, and one of Lord Shiva's names is that he is Ashutosh, very easily pleased. So Durvasa was also very easily pleased, but he was also very, very easily upset. And when he got upset, one of his go-to responses was that he'll curse. Now as devotees, this is one thing we don't follow. When we get upset about anything, we don't curse. Rather, we have to learn to tolerate. But Durvasa, he had this sort of special nature that everybody tolerated about him. Anyway, he was tricked, encouraged, so to speak, by Duryodhana to go to the Pandavas. And Duryodhana was counting on the fact that Durvasa Muni wouldn't be properly or adequately received, him and his many thousands, I think it was 10,000 followers or people that traveled with him, his disciples, and thereby he would curse the Pandavas. So it just so happened that Durvasa Muni arrived just at the time after all the Pandavas and all the sages, thousands of them, had taken their lunch, their main meal, and Draupadi also had just eaten. And there was going to be no prasad for Durvasa and his thousands of disciples. So it was a very concerning situation, because Yudhisthira lived his life simply to please the Vaishnavas, to please the great sages. And what to speak of being cursed, just the thought of displeasing any great sadhu was worse than death for Yudhisthira. That's how focused he was. He never wished harm to anybody. Never wished harm to anybody. So much so that one of Yudhisthira's names is Ajatashatru. You know what Ajatashatru means? Shatru means enemy, and Ajata means never born, not born. Jata means to give birth or to be born. So Yudhisthira, his name is Ajatashatru, meaning that person whose enemy was never born. In other words, he never saw anyone as an enemy at all. So this is the nature of Yudhisthira Maharaj. Anyway, so they were in a predicament what to do, because they knew Durvasa Muni would be very upset. So Yudhisthira, very tactfully, to buy some time, thought, okay, he encouraged Durvasa Muni, please go before lunch, take your bath in the nearby river with all your disciples, and when you return, we'll have everything ready for you. So Durvasa went with his many thousands of disciples to take bath in the holy river nearby. In the meantime, the Pandavas were beside themselves in anxiety, what to do now. And in this way they were praying and thinking, how to be saved from this very difficult situation of displeasing a great sadhu. In the meantime, Lord Krishna, understanding the predicament, mystically appeared there to Draupadi and asked Draupadi, I'm here now, what have you cooked for me? And Draupadi was also, oh my Lord, we have nothing. I have just eaten, and the pot, the Akshaya Patra, has nothing more. And Lord Krishna said, are you sure? Just look inside, see if there's absolutely anything inside. And she looked, and there was a small particle of prasad still left there. And Krishna ate that, just that little bit. He ate that, and as soon as he ate that, Durvasa Manu, who was taking bath in the river, all his 10,000 disciples, they immediately felt very full, like they had just eaten a huge feast, and they could not eat anymore. They felt like that. And they felt very embarrassed. Now, how could we go back? Yudhishthira and the Pandavas are probably preparing a big feast for us. We won't be able to eat anything. We'll be very embarrassed. Rather, we quickly take bath and leave. So that's what they did. They quickly took their bath and they left. What's that statement? Yasmin tushte, jagat tushte. That if Krishna is pleased, then jagat tushte, the entire universe is pleased and satisfied. So simply but that small particle, small morsel of food found in Draupadi's pot, Krishna was pleased, and therefore everyone else is pleased. So this is the nature of service. That when we serve Krishna, then everyone else automatically is satisfied. Automatically. So this is what happened on that day. What happens every year on the day of Akshaya Tritiya. This pot is brought out and worshipped, and prasadam is distributed. Also, an interesting incident took place on Akshaya Tritiya in Nandagram, where Shri Krishna enjoyed his childhood pastimes with Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda. When Nanda Maharaj established his residence there, he excavated a large lake then known as Nanda Sarovara. Nanda Maharaj, his family members, and all the Brajabasis used to bathe in that lake. And it is said that while Nanda Maharaj and his family bathed on one end of the lake, Vrishabhanu Maharaj would occasionally come and bathe with his family on the other end. According to local tradition, Srimati Radharani and Krishna used to swim underwater to the middle of the lake and engage in pastimes. One day, little Krishna noticed that instead of cooking the usual meal of rice, dal, sabji and chapatis, Mother Yashoda was making all kinds of fried preparations with dal, noodles and flour. When Krishna asked why she was cooking these things, she replied that Nanda Maharaj was going on pilgrimage the next day, and that the fried things she was cooking would last for several days without spoiling. Krishna then asked where his father was going, and Mother Yashoda replied that he was going to Prayag. Prayag for many years, over the last hundreds of years, was known as Allahabad. But recently, fortunately and thankfully, it's been renamed to Prayag, the original name. So Krishna went to Nanda Maharaj and asked him where Prayag was and why he was going there. Nanda Maharaj explained that Prayag was the sacred place where the three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati met and flowed together, and that to take bath there was most auspicious. The next morning was Akshaya Tritiya, the perfect day to start on a long journey. As usual, Nanda Maharaj got up early and went to take his bath in his lake, Nanda Sarovara. When he got there, however, he saw a man he had never seen before, an imposing, regal person, rolling in the dust and laughing loudly. Every now and then, he would get up and dive into Nanda Sarovara, this new strange person. And then he would come out and roll in the dust and laugh, and again bathe in the lake. Nanda Maharaj approached the kingly man and asked, "Maharaj, who are you?" "Baba, I am Prayag," the man replied. "Prayag? I do not know anyone in Nandagram with that name," Nanda Maharaj replied. No, I am not from here. I am Prayag Raj, the king of all the holy places." "And why have you come here today?" Nanda Maharaj asked him. "Baba, all year long people come and bathe in my waters and leave their sins there. So every year on Akshaya Tritiya, I come here, roll in the dust of Vrindavan, and bathe in this Sarovara, because this dust and this lake have the potency to purify one from all sins. The Sarovara, another word for Sarovara is, another word for lake is Sarovara, and to purify is Pavan. Right? So this personality, the personification of the holy place of Prayag, was coming to Vrindavan to take bath in this Nanda Sarovara. Nanda Maharaj was amazed. Suddenly he noticed that on the other side of the lake there were many beautiful ladies in silk saris, embroidered with gold and silver threads. They were also bathing in the lake. Approaching them respectfully, Nanda Maharaj asked who they were. One lady replied, "Baba, I am Ganga." Another said, "I am Saraswati." And yet another said, "I am the Godavari." They all responded with the names of different holy rivers: Kaveri, Narmada, Brahmaputra, Mahananda, etc. Then Nanda Maharaj asked, "And why have you come here today? I have never seen you before." The ladies explained that all year long people put their sins into their waters, and that every year on the Akshaya Tritiya day they come to Braj to roll in its dust, bathe in the Sarovara, and become purified, Pavana. After taking his bath, Nanda Maharaj went back up the hill to his residence. By that time, little Krishna was awake. Coming before his father, he asked, "Baba, are you going now?" "No, Lala, I am not going." "Why, Baba?" "Because today all the places I wanted to go, came to take bath in our lake and became purified, Pavana. So why should I take the trouble to go to them when they all came here?" And so from that day, Nanda Sarovara became known as Pavan Sarovara. So you can go there today, and maybe if you go there on this day, you may see all these holy places personified. So this happened on Akshaya Tritiya. Shri Akshaya Tritiya Mahotsava Ki. Alright, so now we will go to today's verse 4:17:26. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 4:17:26. Puman Yoshit Uta Kliba Atmasambhavana Adhama Bhuteshu Niranukrosha Nirpanam Tat Vadaha Avadaha Pumanyosheduta Kliba Atma Sambhavanodhama Bhuteshu Niranukrosha Nripanam Tadvadhu Vadha Pumanyoshit Utakliba Atma Sambhavanodhama Bhuteshu Niranukrosho Nripanam Tadvadho Vadha Pumanyoshit Utakliba Atma Sambhavano Dhamma Bhuteshu Niranukrosho Nripanam Tadvadhu Vadha. Atma Sambhavano Dhamma Bhuteshu Niranukrosha Nripanam Tadvaduvada Puman, a man, Yoshit, a woman, Uta, also, Klibha, a eunuch, Atmasambhavana, interested in self-maintenance, Adhama, lowest of mankind, Bhuteshu, to other living entities, Nira Anukrosha, without compassion, Nripanam, for the kings, Tat, of him, Vadha, killing, Avadha, not killing. Translation. Any cruel person, be he a man, woman, or impotent eunuch, who is only interested in his personal maintenance and has no compassion for other living entities, may be killed by the king. Such killing can never be considered actual killing. Purport. The planet Earth is actually a woman in her constitutional form, and as such she needs to be protected by the king. Prithu Maharaj argues, however, that if a citizen within the state, be he man, woman, or eunuch, is not compassionate upon his fellow men, he or she may be killed by the king, and such killing is never to be considered actual killing. As far as the field of spiritual activities is concerned, when a devotee is self-satisfied and does not preach the glories of Krishna, he is not considered a first-class devotee. A devotee who tries to preach, who has compassion upon innocent persons who have no knowledge of Krishna, is a superior devotee. In his prayer to the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj said that he was not personally interested in liberation from this material world. Rather, he did not wish to be liberated from this material condition until all fallen souls were delivered. Even in the material field, if a person is not interested in others' welfare, he should be considered to be condemned by the personality of Godhead or his incarnation, like Prithu Maharaj. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adigaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Puman Yoshit Utakliva Atma Sambhavano Dhamma Bhuteshu Niranukrosho Nripanam Tadvadu Bhada. Any cruel person, be he a man, woman, or impotent eunuch, who is only interested in his personal maintenance and has no compassion for other living entities, may be killed by the king. Such killing can never be considered actual killing. So this is quite a shocking section of the Srimad Bhagavatam that we are discussing. Prithu Maharaj, the empowered incarnation of the Lord, who appeared after the great and the great atrocities committed by the former king Vena, who was very cruel and callous in his rulership. After him, the personality of Godhead Prithu appears, and at the stage that we are in, many people on the planet were starving due to Mother Earth holding back her resources, especially in the form of grain and so on. And because of that, Prithu Maharaj, as the king, feeling great compassion for all the citizens, wanted the earth to release all her resources, especially grain, to feed the starving people. However, the earth took the form of a cow in the mood that King Prithu will be compassionate upon her, because the cow naturally is to be protected, what to speak of being in the female form. These forms are always meant to be protected. It is described that the quality of a society can be judged by how well or how badly, if you want to put it that way, they take care of women, children, the elderly, and the cows. So if a society is very adept and progressive in taking care of these four personalities, women, children, elderly, and cows, then that's known to be a properly civilized, God-conscious society. But any society that lacks in taking care of these four personalities, and that's a degraded society. So here we find King Prithu being very disturbed and angry at the earth for holding back the resources, was prepared to kill her in the form of a cow and a female. So that's very shocking. One may wonder then, how is Prithu living up to what a proper king is meant to do? Because a king or the head of state is meant to take care of these four persons, and he's prepared to kill an entity who manifests or represents two forms, a female and a cow. So can that ever be excused? And the earth in the form of a cow was making this point that I'm a cow, I'm a woman, I'm meant to be protected by the head of state. But Prithu now is countering the argument with this very shocking statement, why he's prepared to kill her. And his point here is that anyone who is only interested in their personal maintenance and is not concerned for the welfare of other living entities is fit to be killed. And that such killing is not considered killing. Now, if one doesn't understand the context of who Prithu Maharaj is, he is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, the empowered incarnation of the Lord. Therefore, what he is saying must be truth. So instead of us trying to figure out, oh, but that is wrong, how can he say that? We have to see how it is right. When the great acharyas speak, like Srila Prabhupada, even though they may speak something so shocking and controversial and not with the current social norms, we can't dismiss what they have said. Rather, we have to dig deeper and try to understand why are they saying it, how it is right. We need to adjust our intelligence and our understanding to fit in with what the acharyas what the acharyas and the Supreme Personality of Godhead's perspective is. Just like many people today, they find a lot of fault with Krishna in what he is directing in the Bhagavad Gita. Many commentators, many professors, academics, they try to dissect Krishna's teachings and find fault with him, find fault with his philosophy. But one cannot ever approach Krishna through an academic understanding, through a critical analysis approach. Can never understand Krishna. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, how does he say to understand him and his teachings? One has to approach him with devotion. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. One can never know him without approaching Krishna in this way. So similarly, here we can see through Prabhupada's explanation why Prithu Maharaj is taking such a strong stand. Because this is Vedic culture. This is proper understanding of how people in a civilized world is meant to exist. Just like we hear this phrase, two phrases they related, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the whole world is but one family. And in a family, in a proper context that is, one member of the family, if they see that another member of the family is in some distress, does a normal member of the family look the other way? No. They try to do whatever they can according to their capacity and ability to relieve the sufferings of another member of the family. Because that's what family means, right? That's the whole point of being in a family. So Vasudha refers to the planet Earth. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is one family. Not just the person in my house I am concerned about and to hell with everyone else around outside my house. No, the whole world is one family. And similarly we see even in African culture, here in South Africa, the spirit or the concept of Ubuntu, very wonderful, that I exist because of you, because of someone else. And similarly they exist because, in other words, I contribute to the existence of somebody else, just as someone else is contributing to my existence. The fact that I'm here existing is because of others. And similarly, I am contributing to others. So we are meant to exist together, not in an isolated way. What to speak of isolated way? People in this world exist at the expense of others. Isn't it? That's exploitation, that's capitalism. That's the Western culture. I exist at the expense of others. Rather, the Vedic culture and even in this African culture, I exist for the service of others. That is the proper understanding. So here Prithu is making this point, that you as the earth, you have so much of capacity for the benefit of others, to be beneficial to others, and you are not taking up, you are not making good on that capacity. Therefore, you are fit to be punished. So this is a very great lesson for us. No matter what our condition is, no matter what our position is, if we have some capacity to be of some benefit to others, it is our duty, it is our birth duty, our existential duty to be of benefit for others. Otherwise, we are misusing the ability Krishna has placed in us. Krishna, one of his opulences, he says, is that he is the ability in man. Paurusham Nrishu. So if we have Krishna, God-given abilities, and they're not used in the service of Krishna, in the service of everyone on behalf of Krishna, then we do not deserve these qualities. We do not deserve these abilities. And if we are misusing those abilities given by Krishna, that is meant for the benefit of others, then we are liable to be punished. Just like anyone in government. Of course, maybe in South Africa it's not a very good place to give this example. But if anyone is using the privileges they have been given by the government, like a government worker, a minister, if they've been given some privileges and they're misusing it just for their own benefit or the benefit of their brother or sister or wife or children, their own group, so to speak, then they should be punished. They will be taken to court. They will be charged, right? Like that. So the earth planet in the form of a cow is being charged in this way by Prithu Maharaj. That she has so much of capacity, but she's not using it for the benefit of others. And then Prabhupada goes further and says, similarly, if a devotee is there simply happy to be self-satisfied, Atma Rama, just to be myself and not engage with anyone and give them the benefit of what they've received in spiritual consciousness, in spiritual life, then that is also not good. That is also not supported by Krishna. That is not pleasing to Krishna at all. Rather, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, we've been given this gift. And this gift, this benefit that we've received in terms of Krishna consciousness, must be shared. Actually, it's described that if we get something in the form of Krishna consciousness and we do not share it, we will eventually lose it. We will lose it eventually, because this gift grows to the extent that it is shared. Right? You understand? In material life, the more, if you get something valuable and you share it, then what you've had lessens. The quantity lessens. But in spiritual understanding, when we are given something of spiritual benefit, if you share it with others, keenly share it with others, then that benefit always increases. And Srila Prabhupada then refers to little child Prahlad after his own father was killed, and in a discussion with the Lord Nrsingadev, Prahlad states two very amazing verses which we'll quickly read. He tells Lord Nrsingadev, "O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them." So this was Prahlad. He's not so bothered because he realizes that by my hearing and chanting, by my engagement in my own sadhana, my own bhajan, I'm very satisfied. I'm very satisfied for myself. But what about everyone else that are so covered in this illusion that their life revolves around taking care of their wife, their children, their homes, their society, their bank balances, their health? What about them? They are suffering so much in deep ignorance. So he wants to do something for them. And then, so you see Prahlad, he's feeling two things simultaneously. He's feeling very blissful due to his own sadhana and bhajan, and he's feeling very distressed, very unhappy at the consideration of the unhappiness of others. This also was the nature of Lord Chaitanya's great associate, Vasudev Dutt. He prayed to the Lord, "My Lord, please, all the sinful reactions that are due to all the entities in this universe, you please place them on my head. Let me take the suffering that they are due. Let me experience it so that they can be completely cleared of this burden of sinful reaction, so that they can go back home, back to Godhead." This is the quality of a great devotee. Similarly, Jesus Christ had a similar conception for his followers. Of course, Vasudev Datta is known to be much greater because he wasn't just thinking about his flock, his following. He was thinking about not just everyone in the country or everyone on the planet, but every single living entity in the universe must be liberated. So this is the nature of a great devotee. They are very deeply engaged in sadhana and bhajan, and they become blissful. But because they are so blissful and they look around them, when they open their eyes, they see others are not blissful, they become unhappy. So they are continually engaged in sadhana, in bhajan, developing so much of bliss, and that happiness then is shared with everyone else who are suffering in this material world. And then next, Prahlad Maharaj says something also amazing. He says, "My dear Lord Nrsingadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed." So he sees around very clearly. Even we can see today so many people in the garb, in the clothing of devotees, as sadhus, great saints and spiritual leaders, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence, Mauna Vrata. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. So this is the nature of a great devotee. Firstly, they have this clear understanding that there can be no happiness to be gained in material prosperity. Absolutely nothing. Even life in the heavenly planets is detestable for them. What to speak of heavenly planets? Even the bliss of the effulgence of Krishna, the Brahma Jyoti, is considered to be hellish. Kaivalya narakayate, it's described. They do not want that. They're very clear that real happiness can only be experienced in connection with service to Krishna, in one's eternal identity as a servant of Krishna. And so they see, they're not swayed by anything. They're not swayed. They are happy to live simply, a life of acceptable austerity, and they're not swayed by any other materialist so-called external happiness or prosperity. Rather, they see in that person and they see in others who are trying to develop their lives materially, looking for some success and happiness there. They take pity upon that person because they know that that is the most detestable condition. Because for that moment there may be some happiness, but very soon there'll be so much of pain, of material suffering. So the devotee, not being swayed, not being allured, somehow very tactfully tries to give all materialists some form of Krishna consciousness or the other. This is the nature of a devotee, like Prahlad Maharaj. So Prithu is saying this, that it is the duty of any civilized person, what to speak of a devotee, of any civilized person, to live for the benefit of others. In some way or the other, live for the benefit of others. And the fact that Mother Earth wasn't doing that, she's therefore liable to be punished. Liable to be punished. So this is a great lesson for us, that we should see our lives as being there for the benefit of others. And when we live for the benefit of others, we get benefited. We get noticed by Krishna. Because that's all we want, is simply to do things in such a way so that Krishna will take notice of us. Krishna will say, oh yes, this person is doing something to please me by taking care of my parts and parcels, the suffering conditioned souls in this world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he once said that we should not act in a way so that we can try and see Krishna. That is not our point. No, that's not what our activities are for. Let me be rather let me do something in such a way so that Krishna will want to see us. That's better. That's a better form, a better approach. And we find in our movement, Srila Prabhupada, he designed our movement in such an amazing way to give every single person that comes to Krishna consciousness, to surrenders to this movement, who wants to take up the progress of the movement. He designed it in such a way that we can easily live for the benefit of others. Going out on Harinam is living for the benefit of others, especially distributing the literature, delineating the difference between the body and the soul, giving a clear, non-vague understanding of what our identity is, what our position is. This is living for the benefit of others, distributing these books. Even serving the deity is living for others, if we understand the position of the deity. That when some conditioned soul walks into the temple, and if the deity is served nicely, not just externally by nice decorations, nice shringar dress, but through the bhav that goes in from the pujari, without any offenses, then that deity amplifies and transmits something very attractive to the person who comes to them. Something very attractive. Like you see in some temples in Vrindavan, if you look at the deities from a materialistic perspective, you'll say, hey, this deity is not being taken care of nicely. It's not very nice. The eyes are smudged and everything is looking a little untidy from a material perspective. But you go before the deity, there's something that impels you, right? You've probably seen many. It's so amazing. So simple, so amazing. Because of the love that comes through deity worship. The deity amplifies it and attracts anyone who comes in. So even the pujaris, they realize, let me live for the benefit of others. Let me worship Krishna on the altar in such a wonderful way, in such a loving way, to the best of our abilities, so that anyone who walks in gets overwhelmed. Oh, this is my Lord. When we are cooking and distributing prasad, the cooks know they are doing it for the benefit of others. So that people taste this wonderful prasad with great devotion in it, and they become transformed. Like that, everything we do by Prabhupada's arrangement is living for the benefit of others. Actually, one cannot be in this movement without this consciousness. This movement is meant to accommodate persons who are actually committing to the responsibility, to the wonderful opportunity to live for the benefit of others. This is what this movement's about. And to attract more people to also come and live for the benefit of others. So we're very, very thankful that we have this arrangement in this International Society for Krishna Consciousness, that whatever we can do, we can use it in a way to benefit someone else. This is the real charity work. Real charity work. Charitable work, of course, is not to be denied, is not to be put down. It's very, very important. It's wonderful. But if charity work, feeding people, clothing people, housing people, educating people, doesn't lead them to their ultimate benefit of understanding their true position, then all that charitable work is simply, like Prabhupada saying, blowing on a boil. You get burnt and a blister forms on your skin, and you blow on it just simply to ease the pain for a few moments. But the real issue is there. The real disease is there that's caused the boil. Until you address the boil by giving them an understanding of who they truly are, all these charitable activities do not ultimately lead to someone's ultimate benefit. So this is the potency of spiritual life that we have taken up. And we can hear, whoever's listening today, we can consider, how can I, in some small way, according to my capacity, act in such a way to live for the benefit of others. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Akshaya Tritya Mahotsava ki, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.